Welcome to Sportsline, brought to you by Ace Hardware, New Kensington, AKLC Studios in Leechburg, Arnold Furniture, 5th Avenue, Buffalo Bills, New Kensington, Fazio's Deli and Meats in Arnold, Highland Tire, Toronto and Natrona Heights, Mattio's Pizza and Subs, Brackenridge Heights, Resevich Family Funeral Homes, Lower Burl in Arnold, 380 Discount Warehouse, Murraysville, Tower Auto in Blawnox, and Westmoreland Insurance Services of New Kensington.
So good to be back. I welcome all of you once again to Sportsline Trivia. Bob Tattern here. I took about 4 weeks off with some surgery. Nothing very major, but it had to be done. George Guida joins me tonight here in the program. George, good to see you again.
Good to see you back here again in the old set here.
Got a chance to watch, of course, more sports on TV, but I enjoyed tremendously the two Pirate comebacks against Toronto.
Yes.
And the game, the last Penguin Ranger game, was an absolute joy.
Last night, all the Penguins played very well.
I mean, you couldn't find fault with anybody.
Right.
Not that you wanted to, but we do have some people out there that are hometown instigators.
Yes, well, and one piece of that is the play of Marc-Andre Fleury in the playoffs thus far. You know, last off-season, when he had that meltdown in the playoffs against the Islanders, he visited a sports psychologist. And you see now what a difference it has meant. And, you know, some people made fun of him for that, especially some of the know-it-all radio talk show guys. But it's turned out to be perhaps a good move. I think he's played very, except for that one mistake when he made crawling out of the net there with 23 seconds left against Columbus.
Which could have spelled disaster.
It could very well have been, but the Penguins rebounded and played very well last night, Bob. They did so many things well, particularly keeping the puck in their attacking zone.
The Rangers didn't score until...
They didn't score at all last night.
I mean, the danger came more so, I think, in the third period. It was a 3-0 game, but, you know, just go at the end of the second period, I'm saying to myself, do I believe what I'm watching? I mean, this is tremendous. Now, we have either the Boston Bruins or the Montreal Canadiens in the next round, and then if we're successful there, it's to the Stanley Cup Finals. Right. And who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, Chicago's probably favored along with LA. You know, last week it didn't get much coverage, I think, because the games were so late, but the LA Kings were down 3-0 in their series against San Jose. They came back and won it 4 in a row, and that's only been done a handful of times in history. Once against the Penguins in 1975, that I think it took maybe 3, 4, 5 years for the Penguins to get it over. That's how serious that is, and I guess they're ready to clean house out in San Jose after you blow a 3-0 lead like that. But hey, great Stanley Cup playoff thus far, Bob. See what the Penguins can do tonight.
Okay, let's take a look at rules and regulations on winning a prize. Of course, today is the first program in May, and that's going to come into play here. You can win a prize on this program every other week at your household address. You can win the Grand Salami Prize or the Mystery Profile once a month. And when it comes to the Mystery Profile, we ask that you only try it once a month. Your time limits are 15 seconds for multiple choice, 20 seconds for the Grand Salami. Mystery Profile, we try to go quickly, clue by clue. And first-time callers, or if you've not called the program in a year, will win more than one prize, at least 2. Also, the answers to the trivia can be found on my website. I have daily sports trivia. Just check out there. DoubleDribbleBob.com is the address. And if you would tune into my radio program Saturday mornings, WAVL, 9:10 on the dial on the AM side, 10 o'clock in the morning. And got some good stuff. Coming up this week, We're going to be talking about when Major League Baseball had its first request to have cremated ashes become part of the playing field.
Wrigley Field, I'm guessing?
St. Louis.
St. Louis, how about
At
that?
the old Sportsman's Park. And there's a request, and there's, trying to think of his name now, but anyway, he's sitting there studying, what am I going to do with this? And he finally said, let's get it done.
Yeah, let's.
Anyway, let's take a break. We're going to be coming back with our first caller of the night. Stay with us, and we'll return. Welcome to Buffalo Bill's Roadhouse, the place for big appetites. Their great sandwich selection includes the Geronimo, piled high with generous portions of meat and fixings. Their barbecue ribs are the best in town. Half rack or full rack, they don't come better. Buffalo Bill's wings are everybody's favorite. Uniquely oven-baked, not deep-fried, and yet so crispy. Your choice of 13 flavored seasonings. Grab a bucket for the big game. Eat in or take out, credit cards accepted. Buffalo Bill's Roadhouse, Freeport Road, New Kensington, across from Faldarelli Square.
For over 38 years and 3 generations, Arnold Furniture has been the area's favorite furniture store. We have over 4 floors of living rooms, dining rooms, recliners, bedding, carpeting, and so much more.
You'll always find friendly personal service from one of the family.
And our prices consistently beat the competition, plus free local delivery and free setup guaranteed. Visit Arnold Furniture online at arnoldfurnitureinc.com or stop in and see us today.
AKLC Studios LLC is the place for your video and multimedia needs. Let AKLC Studios produce a unique television commercial for your business. At your location or in our studios, we're here to meet your needs. Ever want your own television show? Let us show you how. AKLC Studios LLC can even tape your special events and weddings. Whatever your multimedia need, call AKLC Studios LLC in Leechburg today. Professional quality at hometown prices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
All right, for Tower Auto Sales, and boy, they've been with us for several years now. We always brag about the kind of a dealership they are. I don't know if dealership is correct because they sell only pre-owned vehicles.
Well, that's a dealership.
Let's
Sure.
explain them to it. Let's proclaim it. Anyway, Tower Auto Sales, they're located in Blawnox, right at the traffic light there on Freeport Road. Their favorite phrase is just buy it. You got a great selection, the best in products and customer communication, and best service after the sale. Get a hold of Mike Fanto, 412-828-6202. Folks, we're going to go to the phones right now, and we're going to grab Tony, our leadoff hitter. Tony, welcome to the program.
So, George,
Yes.
I heard why he came back.
Why is that?
You guys were giving away too many prizes. Too many, those mental thoughts you were throwing out. Bob didn't like that.
Bob said, boy, I better get back on the set there.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad you're doing good.
Well, I thank you.
And that's all the farther I'll go. Penguins. You see how they could play when they want to? That was one of the best games they've played in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it was complete.
You know what we took?
Defense, offense. It wasn't for Lundqvist. They might have scored 10 goals in that game. He played one fantastic game.
Yeah, he did. He's a great goalie.
But you know one thing I noticed? Later in the game, the legs went on the Rangers. I think all these games caught up with them.
Yeah.
They
Play tonight. I don't know.
Well, if the Penguins come out flat like they did that first game Friday night and got behind 2-0, it doesn't matter if the Rangers have played 9 games in 9 days as opposed to 6 in 9 days, what they're coming up with
if you come
tonight.
out like that, I mean, I don't know how you're at home. You come out flat like that, with the fans going crazy. I mean, too bad they can't, push some of that enthusiasm down on the ice. But, oh well, that's the way it goes. So we'll see what team shows up the rest of the way. And
I think the Penguins took away 2 minutes of their offense in that third and final period toward the end. I think there was maybe 5 minutes to play or so, and the one Ranger took a pretty dumb penalty.
Yeah.
And even though we didn't score on the power play, it meant that we were more in control of the 2 minutes than they were.
Yes.
And it's going to take some luck. I guess that's true with any team. It's like what we say about, the Pirates. Sterling Marte will come up with the bases loaded and maybe strike out. Then another game, he turns out to be the hero. It just
Maybe strike out. Okay. Well, maybe he will. Maybe he won't. I don't know. But I'm not even going to talk about those guys. I did enough last week. So now Thursday's the draft. What do you think? What are we going with?
nobody seems to know. I'm listening to those so-called draft experts and what have you. And
Yeah, the gurus.
nobody's giving them clues from the Steeler office.
I think the Steelers got to take the best wide receiver available or the best defensive back
At the
available.
15th
I think they have
round.
to go after offense this year. They've been going after defense. I think he needs somebody who can stretch the field.
Yeah.
How about
And then after that, like you said, we need a defensive back. I know that.
Because the Steelers
Right.
have to start getting used to life without Troy Polamalu.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because he's probably winding down, you know.
This could be his last year. I know it's the
Yeah.
last year of his contract, I believe.
Oh.
Well, he's
okay.
not gonna
So
go anywhere.
If he gets hurt.
I wouldn't think, but I mean, if he comes out and now he played all 16 games last year, but if he starts getting banged up again,
Right.
he just might pack it in at the end of this year.
Yeah, he might, you know.
Yeah.
No use crippling yourself. You got all the money you want, so.
Yeah.
how about that number one quarterback they're looking at? Everybody's giving a Johnny
Manziel from
Manziel.
Texas A&M.
Johnny Hot Dog, I call him.
Well, hey, the kid, they got film clips that make him look like a Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? A lot of guys thought that when they came to the NFL. And as one coach said, that means not for long if you don't produce.
I think
Who
that
was that?
Jerry.
Jerry Glanville.
Yeah. He would tell officials that.
Okay.
You make another.
I read this article that was interesting. Remember Gary Glick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know that great pick in 1956?
Yeah.
Possibly the
Well,
worst
he was
Steeler pick
with
of all
the
time,
Steelers, and he got a letter from Glick's coach from
Yeah.
Colorado A&M.
which is now known as Colorado State.
Okay. So Kiesler, he's going to draft him, and they said young Dan Rooney was against it, but Kiesler was stubborn and took Glick, and that's funny because now it isn't the coach's thing to say who he could say who he wants in there, but it seems like it's up to the team who But anyhow, let's get on with it. So they decide, well, hey, Kiesler said, I'm taking him no matter what. I got a good letter from the coach. So they took him. Now, they didn't see films of him while he was playing at college. They didn't even go see him play. They got the films after they drafted him. And they watched him play a poor, terrible team in a disaster stadium, which they said it had more loose dogs running around than spectators. Once they seen the film, they knew that they made a mistake. Now, let me tell you what kind of mistake they had. With Glick's name here, these are the guys who was right with him they could have taken. Lenny Moore.
From Penn State.
Oh, wait, I'm warming up. Forrest Gregg. Sam Huff.
Oh, my gosh.
Bart Starr. And Willie Davis. And we take Gary Glick.
Click.
And how about Dick Leffridge?
Yeah, there's another
Remember
one.
him from out of West Virginia. And Bob Ferguson. Never lost a yard in college, never gained one in the pros.
Yeah. Yeah, he never ran for a loss at Ohio State, and the first time he got stopped for a loss with the Steelers, he was never the same again, right?
Yeah, it was a guy that the Steelers had was named Charlie Bradshaw. We had a Bradshaw before we had the Super Bradshaw, and we used to call Charlie Bradshaw Mr. Clean because he never got his uniform dirty. I watched him in a game down at Pitt Stadium. That's when they had grass. In a monsoon rain, they played the Washington Redskins. He played the whole game, and he was the only one out there with a perfectly white uniform. In fact, when they went into halftime, he come out. He didn't even have to change his uniform. So the story is the first play he ran, Charlie Bradshaw flattened him, and that was the end of Bob Ferguson. And then they sent him to Cleveland, and Cleveland cut him, or they sent him to Minnesota, I think it was. And Minnesota cut him, and he ended up a Canadian ball, and couldn't even make it there. And then he had a stroke when he was age 35.
Oh.
Yeah, and they sent him to Minnesota, and he was cut. And it seemed like him and his family vanished, and they were under assumed names, as the article was telling me.
Yeah, that was strange.
But he had a stroke at 35. Wow. So that's some of our great picks, that we took. But hey.
And you remember Huey Richardson?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
He looked so good in those films they played, after the draft selection to fill up time. He looked so good in those films when he played for Florida.
Right. Yep. And that was in what, 91?
Yeah, that was Chuck Noll's last draft, and boy.
And he got rid of him as quick as possible.
Yeah, as soon as Bill Cowher came, he got rid of him. But boy, there were some bad picks by Chuck Noll those last couple of years there.
Yeah, it just seemed like he wasn't with it anymore.
Right. It was a shame because I just think he's one of the greatest coaches of all time in any sport. What he did, and you made an example of it, Tony, a couple of minutes ago by talking about some of the draft picks the Steelers made and the fact that they were a joke of a franchise for so long. And what Chuck Noll did between, let's say, 1969 and 1979 or 1980, thereabouts, what he did was one of the best coaching jobs, if not the best, in the history of pro sports.
Well, just look some of the guys. Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Damani Dawson, Joe Green, Bradshaw and Swan, and it just seemed like every time they took somebody, it was being the number one player the best you could get, and then that went on and on, like you said. Then towards the end, I don't know if he just didn't had his mind into it. I don't know if he was sick or what, but after that, it looked like some of the coaches we have now drafted. So
he had a lot of great help from his scouts because, picking a guy from Louisiana Tech as your quarterback, everybody's going, Louisiana Tech, where's that?
Mm-hmm.
I looked up the other day their history in football. They have had over 50 All-Americans. Once Bradshaw went to Louisiana Tech, they got a lot of talent going to that school. 50 plus All-Americans have graduated from Louisiana Tech.
And the one scout for the Steelers, and Tony, you might have even told a story on this show several years back. Dickie Munn, I think was his name.
Yeah.
He got such a group of talent from the small black colleges before integration in the SEC and the ACC came along that a lot of people didn't know about, like Mel Blount from Southern University, Frank Lewis from Grambling had several nice years with the Steelers, and John Stallworth from Alabama A&M, which I didn't hear of before, and I never heard of since. Yeah, A&M, a lot of letters there.
Yeah.
And the SEC wasn't taking black players at the time. In fact, Alabama, it's hard for people to believe now, but Alabama and Georgia didn't have a black player until 1971. And Texas won the national championship in 1969 with an all-white team. And that's not that long ago. But Dickie Munn was smart enough to see all the talent that existed in those schools that nobody knew about, and was much to the Steelers' advantage.
Tony, we got to go to trivia.
All right. Well, he also, drafted J.T. Thomas. How about Benny Cunningham?
Yeah.
Ron Cole.
Great career.
And so forth and so on. All right. Look, the guy's back one day and he's rushing me. All right, Robert. Let's do the Grand Salami. Get your little voodoo doll on. Start sticking pins in it. I'm ready. All right. Let's go with number 5.
All right, number 5. How are you on Russian weightlifters?
I told you I used to date one. They have female weightlifters, Russia did.
All right, here's your question, Tony. Name the first National Leaguer to hit at least 30 home runs in a season.
The first National Leaguer?
To hit 30 home runs in a season. If this were the American League, I'm sure you would have guessed Babe Ruth.
National Leaguer.
Yeah.
Okay, the first National Leaguer hit 30 home runs. Jeez. How about, I don't know. Ty Cobb.
Yeah, that's American League.
Oh, he is?
Detroit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What am I thinking of?
Yeah. It was Rogers Hornsby.
Yeah, that figures.
As a matter of fact, he not only hit 30, but he hit 42 in 1922. So, good try, Tony. We thank you.
Hey, guys, have a good one.
All right.
And,
Okay.
nice to hear your voice again.
Good to have you on the show, Tony.
Bye.
And it is break time, so George and I were going to take a quick break and sip on some water and maybe have a throat lozenge, and we'll be right back.
This is where you get the absolute freshest deli meats and cheeses. Fazio's Italian Deli in Arnold. At Fazio's, you're getting only the best and freshest selection. Fazio's has its own bakery and offers you fresh baked bread, rolls, pastries, and more. Pick up individual salads to go, Italian sausages, hoagies, custom-made sandwiches, even party trays for your next get-together. Freshness and quality every time at Fazio's Italian Deli, Leishman and Dre in Arnold.
There once was a hungry road that wouldn't let drivers get very far. It wore out their tires, forcing them to buy new ones. Then along came the Michelin Man, who proved the right tire changes everything. With long-lasting tires in place, those drivers were back on the road to saving money. Drive longer with the Michelin Defender tire, backed by a 90,000-mile limited warranty. Michelin, a better way forward.
Available at Highland Tire under the bridge in Toronto and Freeport Road, Natrona Heights. Westmoreland Insurance Services isn't like your ordinary insurance agency. Not only can you get a variety of quotes from leading insurance companies, but you can purchase that protection through Westmoreland Insurance. Westmoreland provides a full range of coverage for all of your automobile needs. Westmoreland Insurance Services, putting your family's safety in their family's hands for almost 40 years. Give them a call, 724-337-3557.
You know, whenever we get around to the mystery profile, it's always an interesting part of the program. Sports Mystery Profile is always sponsored by Matteo's Pizza and Subs, located in Brackenridge Heights. Everything on their menu is made with quality ingredients, which includes, of course, their hand-tossed pizzas, the gyro sandwiches, subs, hoagies, calzones, strombolis, wingdings, and of course, their signature hoagie, the Iron Man. Give them a call and order something, either pick it up or have it delivered at 724-904-7312. George?
And I hope somebody tries our mystery profile this evening. I just love the clues that we have, and I can't wait for one of our contestants or callers to give that a try, but we'll see what happens. A great mystery profile, I think, tonight on behalf of our friends over at Matteo's.
Okay, let's go to the phones. Mr. Tampa Bay, I believe?
Hey guys, how are you?
Okay.
Hey.
I'm going to call. I'm very depressed
Uh-oh.
by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Well,
They
showed some signs of life over the weekend, Mr. Tampa Bay.
Well, they are doing good. It just needs to continue. But I think Alvarez needs to drop down to 6 and put Davis at 4, since they dropped Marquet. Give Alvarez hit last year at 6, and he did better after they traded up them guys.
Right. I think he's no cleanup hitter. Even though Clint Hurdle's trying to force feed him in the number 4 spot, I just don't think he's a cleanup hitter.
No, he's not.
He would have more. Would he have more RBIs in the number 6 spot?
Probably.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
he almost had 100 last year.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to have to cheer on the Pittsburgh Steelers for this weekend, for the draft, and hopefully they do something, because the Pirates they're going to start their losing season this year. They're not going to place in the top 3 in the division. They have no pitching. They have no power hitting. They need a shortstop to hit the ball.
Yeah, Jordy Mercer's been a disappointment. I thought he was, he did very well last year. He dislodged Clint Varmus, but Bob, he's not doing much of anything hitting-wise. It seemed like he was coming around then when he got spiked in one series. I think it was in Milwaukee. He just hasn't been the same since.
But that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm just a little depressed, and it's nice to see you online tonight, Bob. I keep missing you.
Well, thank you. All right, you want to try trivia?
Yeah, I'll go trivia. I'm gonna go multiple choice.
Okay, George?
All right. Here's a multiple choice for Mr. Tampa Bay. And it is a Pittsburgh Pirate question. Who made the first Pittsburgh Pirate error at PNC Park? Was it Jack Wilson, Kevin Young, Mike Wayner, or Jason Kendall?
Jack Wilson.
And you are absolutely correct, Mr. Tampa Bay. It was game number 2 at PNC Park. It was against the Cincinnati Reds. We went through the first game at PNC Park. It was an 8-2 loss by the Pirates, and Sean Casey hit a home run for the Reds, then came a couple years later to Pittsburgh and didn't do a thing. But second game, though, Jack Wilson made the first Pittsburgh Pirate error at PNC Park. So congratulations, Mr. Tampa Bay.
All right, guys. You guys have a good one. Talk to you later.
All right, appreciate your call. And I believe Mark is on the line with us. Mark, good evening.
Good evening, Bob and George.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I was not too bad, thank you. I was watching the show, the Tim McCarver show. He has that half-hour sports show.
Yeah.
And he had Don Larson and Yogi Berra on it.
Wow.
Okay, and it said 2014, so it must have been taped earlier this year, because I know, naturally Yogi and Don Larson are getting old. But,
Yeah.
they were talking about his perfect World Series game in 1956. And Tim McCarver was asking him, the last out was a strikeout by the...
Dale Mitchell was the batter.
Okay, and Tim McCarver didn't even know that Yogi Berra said the umpire said he did swing. They thought it was a wide pitch for a called strike, but Yogi said no, he swung at it. See, that was before the days, I guess you could have even appealed to the third base or first base ump. But Yogi said no, he swung. And I watched, they showed the replay of it, and it would be questionable. It did look like he offered, close to the swing. So anyway, they were, talking about that. And then he said that, I don't know if this ever happened before, but Larson's perfect game, then he was invited back to Yankee Stadium years later to throw out a ball, him and Yogi. And of all things, that, what's his name, Cone, that pitched for the Yankees,
Right.
David Cone, he pitched, I think, a perfect game that day.
Yes, I think that was in the late 90s, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so what would be the odds of that?
Oh,
a
my
guy
goodness.
pitched one for the team, and then, him throwing out the ball, being there, watching a guy throw a perfect game.
I was always under the impression that when Dale Mitchell took that pitch, they said it was a little bit out of the strike zone, but it was, I think, a 3-2 count on Mitchell.
But
And
Yogi said the ump said that he actually offered to swing at it. Like you could see him, like checking his swing, but he said the ump called it a strike. So Yogi's saying he swung at it. Now, I don't know whether it's 50-50 on that or what, but...
Well,
okay.
I'm jumping on a website. You go ahead.
Okay.
And I'm going to do some reading on this.
Okay, and then I had another question. They were talking about, Ted Williams having a good eye for balls and strikes. Is there a statistic on how many called strike threes he had in his career, or did they ever keep them then?
That's just what an amazing day in baseball history. That how many called strikes he had that day.
Ted Williams didn't swing most of the time. The umpires wouldn't call it because they thought they regarded him as one of the best guys. If he didn't offer, they'd say it wasn't a strike. The Yogi was talking about that in one of the games also. I just wondered if they ever kept stats on that then. They probably didn't, but how many strikeouts in his career would he have had?
There's one website that I jumped onto only because it said the final pitch of Don Larson's perfect game in 1956, and the one guy said it was 1.5 feet outside. So I thought he just took the pitch and the umpire rang him up.
But you could see, if you could see it on video, he does like swing at it, like he checked it, but according to Yogi, he swung, so it wouldn't have mattered where I was just curious because I'd never seen this interview with Yogi and Don Larson before.
I just punched another button that says, look at the video. When I did, it said copyright it's no longer available because of the copyright, so.
They knew we wanted to use it tonight.
Yeah, they knew I was going to ask your question today. Well, okay, I better go for multiple choice then. I've taken up enough time.
Well, not really, Mark, but we'll go to multiple choice for you. And you have question number 4, which means your cleanup today.
Okay.
So let's see what happens. This is, of course, this was on my website a little bit earlier in the year when we were talking about the NCAA basketball title. So here we go. Name the first undefeated team to win the NCAA basketball title. And here are your choices, Mark. Duke, UCLA, Kentucky, and San Francisco.
Oh, I know UCLA under what's his name was good, so I'm just going to guess UCLA.
No.
No?
You're thinking about John Wooden.
John Wooden, yeah.
Yeah, the answer is San Francisco. The Dons were 29-0 in 1956. Today, they'd be in their 30s because of the longer.
Right, the long tournament.
Yeah.
Well, my wife was born in 56, so anyway. Okay.
You're giving away her age. Uh-oh.
In fact, her birthday's coming up May 14th, so maybe I'll have a chance
Oh, yeah.
next week.
There you go.
Okay, thank you, fellas. You guys have a good week.
Mark, thank
Okay.
you for the call. And where are we now time-wise? We close enough for a break, or do we want to do a break? Or
Okay.
we don't have another caller. Let's do the break.
Okay.
We're going to come back
Why
with
not?
Paul's in our audience.
Yeah.
We'll spend some time with Paul. In the meantime, if we've been remiss in not giving you the number, it is 724-236-0430. Give us a call. We'll be right back. Since 1914, the local area has relied on the Resevich family of funeral homes in deepest times of need. The Resevich family is the oldest established name in the funeral profession in the AK Valley, now 100 years strong and still doing things right. Its reputation and unquestionable service now continues with a 4th generation. The Resevich family of funeral homes, 5th Avenue Arnold and Leechburg Road in Lower Borough.
AKLC Studios LLC is the place for your video and multimedia needs. Let AKLC Studios produce a unique television commercial for your business. At your location or in our studios, we're here to meet your needs. Ever want your own television show? Let us show you how. AKLC Studios LLC can even tape your special events and weddings. Whatever your multimedia need, call AKLC Studios LLC in Leechburg today. Professional quality at hometown prices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
380 Auction and Discount Warehouse, Route 380, Murraysville.
Automotive supplies, groceries, housewares, pet supplies.
All at discount prices.
Sofas, dining tables, recliners, dressers and desks, lamps and end tables.
All at discount prices.
Yard and landscaping supplies, special catalog orders, mattresses with full warranties.
All at discount prices.
School supplies, tools, paint, toiletries, model cars, toys.
All at discount prices. Get to 380 Auction and Discount Warehouse today, Route 380, Murraysville.
All right, folks, Tower Auto Sales is the place to go if you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle. Now, we've got a caller or two that have bought a couple of cars from Tower Auto, and in fact, one of them came to my house, and he said, I've got to show you what you persuaded me to buy.
Oh, that's good.
Lovely, great-looking car. The luxury of choice is given to you whenever you shop Tower Auto Sales, because where you buy your vehicle is just as important as what you buy. They have an experienced sales staff headed by Mike Fanto. Give him a call, 412-828-6202. Okay. Paul's going to join us next year on the show. George, did you want to plug your book here while we have an opportunity?
Yeah, let's talk about Ellie Kiske sports history. It's available now for 1995, and hey, pretty soon coming up will be graduations and summer vacations. If you're looking for a summer read on the beach, or Father's Day is actually next month. Available again at 1995 at wordassociation.com if you prefer to buy your books online, which many people do nowadays, as I've found out. That's wordassociation.com, or you want to take a stroll over to Trentham at Costello's Printing on 5th Avenue, right across the railroad tracks from Gatto's. You can go in during business hours, 9 to 5, any day, and pick up your copy of Ali Kiski Sports History.
Okay. Let me ask Paul, who's in our studio audience, and getting acclaim, by the way, just by making appearances on this show. Were you surprised at the answer of the question, the first undefeated team to win the NCAA title in basketball, San Francisco? Did that surprise you?
With all the Duke and Kentucky, I figured with San Francisco, I figured that would be the answer because just to throw like a monkey wrench in there.
But you know what? UCLA is such a perfect wrong guess.
Right.
Because as Mark was looking.
It's so obvious.
Yeah, they had a lot of great teams.
Yeah, I think they won like 6 years or 7 years in a row. UCLA, they won the
they
championship.
were there. That's for sure.
And San Francisco had some great players. Bill Russell, one of the great players in basketball history, and one of the guards, Casey Jones, who actually came along to play for the Celtics later on. So you got those two guys on a team, Bob. You're doing all right.
Let me tell you a funny story about how Bill Russell became a Celtic. Do you know the story?
I've probably heard it, but tell us anyway.
The Rochester Royals, that's who the Royals were then, in Rochester, New York. They had the pick in front of Boston in the draft. And Boston had gotten a hold of Rochester to say, we'll give you whatever, but please pass on Russell, would like to have him. And the Royals refused. They're saying, would like to have Russell. Now, the Boston team owner also happened to own the Ice Capades. So he told Rochester, pass up on Bill Russell, and I'll give you the Ice Capades in Rochester. You name the date. And that's how Russell went to the Boston Celtics.
Now, as soon as you said Ice Capades, I knew I had heard the story before, but that's a fantastic story. You know, that Rochester Royals team is one of the few teams in pro sports that have been in 4 cities. They started out at Rochester, went to Cincinnati.
Right.
Then after that, they became the Kansas City-Omaha Kings, and now they're out in Sacramento, California. And they were being persuaded last year to move to Seattle, so they would have become the first pro team to have 5 different locales. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Truly
so they're
amazing.
going to be in Sacramento, California for at least the next few seasons, as they're going to replace the Arco Arena out there. And they haven't done very well in the standings as of late, but they're happy to have a pro team out there. That's the only one they have.
Paul, what's on your mind?
Yeah, that's like the New Jersey Devils. They started out in Kansas City. Then they went
Kansas
to
City Scouts, yeah.
And then Colorado Rockies. And then I think in '82 they moved to New Jersey, so they jumped around also. So, what's on my mind about the NFL draft? The Steelers, when they drafted Gabe Rivera, what was that, 82?
82, yeah.
What's he up to now? Do you know? I haven't heard any. Like, what is he up to, Gabe Rivera?
I think he still lives back in Texas. They did an update on him, which would have been in 2012, when it was the 30th anniversary of his accident. And he's, of course, you know, been in a wheelchair ever since the night of that terrible accident. But boy, for about 5 or 6 weeks, what a ball player.
Yeah,
as a rookie, he was getting double teamed. That's how much of an impact he had made in the first month or so of his career. And then he had that terrible accident, and it was a finished career right then and there. But I think, if I recall the article, he's moved back to Texas now. He came from Texas A&M, and I think he's back down that way now.
Didn't he play for New Mexico or New Mexico State in college?
Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking of someone else with Texas A&M.
Right.
Yes, he did play out there, and I think he lived near Texas A&M, so I think it's coming back a little bit to me now.
Imagine how many more Super Bowls we would have won with him.
Yeah, and he was the perfect replacement for Mean Joe Green at tackle, because at that point, Green was in his 14th season, and you could see the end coming for him. Of course, I wouldn't want to have been the guy that told Mean Joe Green he couldn't play anymore. So.
Yeah, I do remember the double teaming. Players would have to double team. And then turning the Kentucky Derby, I think this horse might win in 2 weeks also. They say, he's fast enough to win another race.
But California Chrome you're referring to, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the Preakness is the shortest of the three courses in the Triple Crown. Now, once you get to the Belmont Stakes, that's, what, a 2.25 mile course? So you find out, which horses have the stamina.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, it is really a long, long course out there around JFK Airport in New York City. Right. So many horses have won the first two legs of the Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, but when they remember that Smarty Jones about 10 years ago? They were touting him like he was going to be the Triple Crown winner. I can remember news helicopters on ESPN, they would show the truck with the horse carrier taking him from Philadelphia up to New York City. That's how much coverage this horse was getting. And they would list on the TV screen what his meals would be, X amount of oats every day. I guess this horse had quite an appetite. They had him on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, it looked like he was going to be the next Triple Crown guy, and he just fizzled out in the Belmont Stakes, which many, many horses do.
Yeah, I thought a couple of years ago, I think it was I'll Have Another, they scratched him the day before. Yeah. I thought he would...
Yeah, that was a possibility too.
Right. So.
By the way, I heard a debate the last couple of days anyway. Right. Are horses to be considered athletes? Did you hear that?
I've heard that argument made here and there. I'll go with that. I'll go along with that.
Or jockeys.
Well, jockeys certainly are.
Then they say NASCAR drivers, should they be athletes? Who knows on that?
Well, you have to have stamina,
right.
And you have to have the mental capacity to endure that
and
in a
guts.
little,
guts.
To be able to focus in just a small area. Those seats are just so tight. That area is just so confined,
right.
And with the noise around you, with the engines, I mean, you have to really be at the highest level of concentration. But that's always been a debate for many, many years.
So, I think I'll try the mystery profile.
All right. You're going to love this.
I'll take a crack at it.
Okay. And don't forget the mystery profile is presented to you by Matteo's Pizza and Subs, Brackenridge Heights in Brackenridge, right beside District Justice Bengal's office. Just great food, and don't forget about their signature Iron Man hoagie. So let's give Paul a shot at the mystery profile. Since this is the first Monday of the month, everybody starts off with a clean slate here. Paul, here's your, if you look at the monitor, here is your first, and I love this clue here. I'm going to give it to you now. I am one of 5 Cy Young Award winners who served time in federal prison. There have been 5 Cy Young Award winners who have served time in the federal pen, and this guy is one of them. That's the $100 clue, by the way.
I don't know if he was a Cy Young. I'll say Steve Carlton.
Steve Carlton had multiple Cy Young Award winners, but he is not our answer.
I didn't know if he was in jail, but I did know he won Cy Young.
Maybe he wouldn't have given interviews in jail. Maybe he wouldn't even want people visiting him on Visitors' Day if he were in jail. But let's go to number 2 now. This is our $75 level question, Paul. I am the oldest of the 4 hurlers to be starting pitchers in an all-star game for both leagues. There have been 4 guys who have been starting pitchers for both leagues and all-star games. This guy was the oldest.
Vida Blue.
And you are absolutely correct. Way to go, Paul.
Now let's give him, for the fun of it, the rest of the clues.
Okay.
Did I win the 75 or?
Yes,
you got the $75 level. Way to go, Paul.
Oh, okay. That's a guess.
This is another one. I have 3 World Series rings and a 6-time All-Star Game selection. Now, that would have been your $50 clue, but you didn't need it. And I gave testimony at the Pittsburgh drug trials.
Vida Blue.
Okay. So you would have gotten it by number 4, had you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Tinker Toy clue, Oakland A's owner Charlie Finley tried to get me to change my first name to True.
True Blue.
When the pitched in for both leagues, I kind of Vida Blue and Cy Young. And
he had a great career for the Giants. He had, unfortunately, a drug problem. He was all set to make a comeback in Major League Baseball, and he told Jim Rome that he just had the urge then, to get into the drug scene again, and he thought at that point, I don't want to go back to that because the temptation will be there, so he just called it a career right then and there. But boy, when he first came up, what a start he had. Wasn't he like 10-1 or 13-1 or something like that his first full season? It was just amazing. And then he had a long holdout. This was before free agency. He had some arm troubles the next year. So
and I have another story,
okay, go ahead.
if I can, about that holdout for Vita Blue.
72.
He and Charlie Finley, I think, Finley was willing to sign him for a paltry $16,000.
Wow.
And Vita Blue had his Cy Young year that year, did he not? Okay.
Yeah, 71, yeah.
So anyway, there was I can't think of the guy's name, another ball player on the Oakland team who suggested to Vita Blue that he talk to a particular attorney. He said, I went to him and he helped me. Mm-hmm. Charlie Finley found out about this, that he had gone to Vita Blue, and even to suggest that he go see this particular attorney to help him negotiate. So they're in the spring training campaign when all of this was happening, perhaps early in 73, no doubt, okay? They go from Oakland all the way to the bottom of California and maybe even into Mexico. I'm not sure, but I know it was a long trip. And this guy that gave the advice to Vita Blue was part of it. And when they got down there, Charlie Finley said to him, to this other athlete, I'm cutting you. You're off the team. And by the way, to get back to Oakland, you cannot ride the team bus. He was that kind of a guy. Yeah. I mean, there were people that joked the day he had open heart surgery. He said the operation was 9 hours. It took 8 to find the heart. So, anyway, Charlie was so upset that in 1973, they won the series again.
Mm-hmm, right, it was part of the
73. The World Series rings that he got the team were the cheapest, lousiest looking pieces of jewelry that you'd ever want to see. And when the players were presented in the locker room with them, as they were leaving, they were throwing them in the garbage can. Wow. Didn't care. They didn't want any remembrance of this kind of action from Charlie Finley. But he must have been a heck of a man to deal with. Yeah. So, Paul, $75.
That's
not
right.
Bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Congratulations.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Now, you can't try another mystery profile until June.
But it'll be here before you know it.
All right. We're going to take a break. I'm not going to say when we come back. When I come back, because George is leaving.
Okay.
Okay. George has an errand to run. Stay with us, folks. Give us a couple of minutes to regroup, and we'll be chatting with you. Our number, if you would, 724-236-0430. Back in a moment.
Westmoreland Insurance Services isn't like your ordinary insurance agency. Not only can you get a variety of quotes from leading insurance companies, but you can purchase that protection through Westmoreland Insurance. Accidents happen. Are you prepared? You can be with a wide range of homeowners insurance options from Westmoreland Insurance Services, putting your family's safety in their family's hands for almost 40 years. Give them a call, 724-337-3557. My first book on sports is available not only through the internet, but at various local businesses in the AK Valley. It's Bob Tattern's Sports Minutes. Short sports stories, odd and unusual, fascinating and funny, only take about a minute to read. Go online to doubletriplebob.com, where links are provided for Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Word Association to get book information. Get your copy locally at Costello Printing in Tarentum, Blackburn's in Tarentum, Myrna's Brewery Outlet in New Kensington, or the Hot Dog Guys, Lower Borough.
Husqvarna, taming the wild.
2, 1. And just about 30 seconds ago, there was a little plug here from my book, Bob Tattern's Sports Minutes. Mother's Day, of course, is coming up this Sunday. If mom happens to be a sports fan, maybe you'd like to surprise her with a copy of the book, 1995, and you saw the purchase locations. Blackburn's in Tarentum, Costello Printing and Graphics in Tarentum, Myrna's Brewery Outlet in New Kensington on Carl Avenue, and of course the Hot Dog Guys. Now they're no longer at that one location in Lower Borough. That is now gone. They're going to be serving their delicious all beef, 100% all beef steak meat hot dogs from their travel trailer. And they're normally on Bull Creek Road in Tarentum, Tuesday through Saturday. There will be days when the guys are going to be doing special promotions for charitable causes. But if you want to get a copy of the book, of course, Father's Day is coming up shortly as well. Right before the break, we were talking, I'm trying to think now, Paul, what were we on regarding, I was telling the story about Charlie Finley. And Charlie's got to get down in history as one of the odd, although eccentric and somewhat cheap, not supposed to talk about the deceased, but here we are. Anyway, some people put him in a class with Bill Veeck, although I thought Veeck was a much classier individual. And there are some other guys. By the way, Bill Veeck's son is in business with Hollywood entertainer Bill Murray, and they own a couple of minor league teams, and they've done some crazy promotions, including the lowest attendance ever at a professional baseball game, which is 0. And that's because they played the first 4.5 innings of a game with the gates locked. So there were no people watching the game. At the middle of that 5th inning, they opened the gates and people could get in, probably at a much reduced rate. But anyway, his son continues that legacy. We had mentioned earlier, and I was teasing when George was sitting here, regarding, I think it was 1951, when the St. Louis Cardinals, who were then playing baseball at Sportsman's Park in St. Louis with their counterpart from the American League, the St. Louis Browns, and they get a letter from a member of a family who said that in their father's will, his last wish was to have his cremated ashes become part of Sportsman's Park. And they thought about this for a while, but they went ahead and permitted it. And I get into looking up some of the research on people with these odd and unusual requests. Right now they're saying that, and I find this kind of hard to believe because I know how universities love to have money, all right? But if you're looking at big-time universities like Florida, Notre Dame, and I'm trying to think of the few others that were mentioned in this brief story, they have a flat policy of not burying ashes anywhere on any of their stadiums, period. And I'm thinking, one of these days, somebody's going to come along and say, in my will is also a $1 million or $2 million dollar gift to the university, provided that my cremated remains be part of the field. Back in, I'm going to guess, maybe the 70s or 80s, there was a gentleman from Philadelphia, I know he's in his mid-40s, he talked about this story, that he had his mother's ashes in a plastic bag, and he had gone to a Philadelphia Eagle game, and somewhere in the fourth quarter, when there was a timeout called, he darted out onto the field and took his mother's ashes at the 30-yard line and just sprinkled them all around. And as the police carted him away, he was heard to say, "Mom, this one's for you." Anyway, the estimates are that cremations in this country, which have increased, greatly over the last decade, they say that by 2020, it could be that half of the people will decide on being cremated. And you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be thinking about their favorite sports team. Of course, you can't do this on a hockey rink or a basketball court, but baseball and football are certainly going to be the ones, to have that kind of a request. Also, there was another story that I came across when I was doing the research for this about caskets that have professionally, part of the casket are the emblems of teams that you pick what you want, and it's all part of the casket, and that includes the decorations or the logos of the team on the outside handles, on the inside of the coffin, on the drape. So this funeral business in some areas, and they're also looking for some funeral homes are going to have drive-by or drive-through windows for the deceased. So on and on. I don't want to get morbid. Anyway, don't forget George promoted his book. I promoted mine here tonight. Mother's Day and Father's Day coming up, graduation, what have you. Make sure that you have an opportunity and avail yourself. You can go onto my website, doubletripleBob.com, and go up into the upper left-hand corner of the website, click on the picture of the book, the image of the book, and you'll have the links that will take you to Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and also my publisher, which is Word Association. They'll give you the instructions on how to order your book, and you'll get it rather quickly, okay? So that's where we are there. Tony did not win tonight. We did have Mr. Tampa Bay come up with the correct guess on the first Pirate to make an error at PNC Park, and if you missed that one, that was one of our multiple choice questions. Jack Wilson committed the first Pirate error at PNC Park in Game 2, and I believe, as George had indicated, that was against Cincinnati. So we had those two, and then we had Tony try the Grand Salami, named the first National Leaguer to hit 30 home runs in a season. It's Rogers Hornsby back in 1922. And congratulations again to Paul on the mystery profile. He won $75 worth of gift certificates with the answer of Vida Blue, one of 5. Of course, there were more clues, but the number one clue, there are 5 Cy Young winners who have all spent time in federal prison. For George Guido, I'm Bob Tattern. I thank you for tuning us in tonight. If you'd like to be a studio member, just remember to get here at least 30 minutes before the program begins, because the doors close at 5:30. We'll put you in the audience. You don't have to go on the air. But if you'd like to snoop around the television studio, have fun on us. See you next week at the same time. Bob Tattern here. Good night. Go Penguins and go Pirates.
Thank you for watching Sportsline, brought to you by Ace Hardware, New Kensington, AKLC Studios in Leechburg, Arnold Furniture, 5th Avenue, Buffalo Bills, New Kensington, Fazio's Deli and Meats in Arnold, Highland Tire, Toronto and Natrona Heights, Mattio's Pizza and Subs, Brackenridge Heights, Resevich Family Funeral Homes, Lower Burl in Arnold, 380 Discount Warehouse, Murraysville, Tower Auto in Blawnox, and Westmoreland Insurance Services of New Kensington.